Yes. So again, what are we listening to, from, with, right? So the song "Use Me," this other song, Marianne is bringing us some amazing music from Ricky Byers, one of my favorites, and the language in some of her songs is a bit more Christian than some of the things we sing here. So I just want to give the context of that, right? So when we said, I'm ready to listen, God, use me, Spirit, I'm listening, Lord, whatever that means to you, higher self, Spirit, universe, listen within, yes. So we are working with this amazing book called What It Takes to Heal. And today, we're diving into this idea of purpose. So the purpose that surpasses all. What does that mean? I want to start with a radical idea, kind of tying into what we talked a little bit last week about what if our purpose isn't something that we have to figure out, chase down, achieve, or do, but rather it's something we just are. We embody, something that we live into, one breath, one choice, one practice at a time. Listening always for the love and the guidance of that inner voice. Prentice Hemphill, in her book, What It Takes to Heal, reminds us that something is truly learned when it is embodied. So, to embody something, we must practice what we are becoming. When we are little, we learn the habit, we practice hygiene, till hopefully, by some stage of adulthood, we wake up and we don't have to think, oh, I need to remember to brush my teeth. We just brush our teeth, right? It's embodied. So what would it be like to embody this love that we are as our purpose, the purpose? Our purpose isn't just a thought or an idea or a dream. It's what we actually practice and what becomes automatic over time. It's not about fixing ourselves or proving that we are worthy. It's more about the presence of who we are, about becoming more of our true self. Letting go of the attachment to the ego mind and stepping more fully, more consciously, more mindfully into our life. So what does it mean to live with the purpose that surpasses all? Because often we're taught that purpose is some big, shiny thing, often related to our career or a legacy or our one great contribution to society. And so many people struggle with this that it can become so painful over time. It's like, I'm just still trying to figure out my purpose. Why am I here? What am I really supposed to be doing? And I see people get so caught up on trying to figure out their purpose that they're not actually living in the moment, which is the whole point of it all. Like we talked about last week. What's the point anyway? To be here now, fully present. So here's the myth. The world tells us that our purpose is out there somewhere, something that we have to uncover, or maybe we eventually go on a search for and find it like some buried treasure, and then we do this thing, and now we're living in purpose. But Hemphill challenges us to remind us that what we embody every day is already our purpose, our habits, our relationships, our automatic choices. These things shape our life for better or worse, which is why the importance of conscious living, mindful living, comes into play. So what if the real question isn't what's my big purpose, but what am I embodying? What would I like to embody more fully? What am I practicing? Is it aligned with my deepest values? And is it serving life? Is it in service to something greater? And again, we can think, oh, okay, well, I don't know. What's my way to be in service in this world? A smile, a hug, interaction with someone at the grocery store. It's in these everyday moments of living in presence as the presence that we are living on purpose. And we can listen to all of the ways that guidance comes to us. And often, it's through our body. Because as science is starting to show even more, what metaphysicians have known for years, that we're not our minds, right? This idea of I think, therefore I am, really had us go on a whole path of what is the point and purpose of life that separated us from our body, right? And what we're seeing now in the culture of the world is more somatic practices and more things that are bringing us back into our body. And over the past few decades, this idea of body, mind, spirit, right? Integrating the wholeness and holistic living, and how our thoughts are directly connected to our feelings and physical sensations in our body, and physical sensations in our body to feelings to thoughts, right? It's like they're just all woven in together, right? So if you could take a moment right now and you could all choose to think something, a fearful thought, like, you know, and your body reacts. I laugh because I don't know why. I was scrolling through Reels, just watching some, things to make me laugh, and this one made me laugh. It's, I don't know, many of you might not be familiar with TikTok, but there's often these little, TikTok challenges that goes through. So this latest one that I stumbled upon was, all right, lay down like in the hallway or in a doorway or like in your kitchen or something, as your partner, roommate, whoever is going to be walking into space. And as they walk in, they see you, and then they get startled and jump, right? It's ridiculous. But the point being, you're laying there and like, what's wrong with that? And everyone's reactions, and they're like, what? So we see something, our mind thinks often the worst. What's wrong with this person? Why are they on the floor? Our body reacts, heart pounding, and then we have some kind of physical reaction. And then as animals show us, we got to shake it off to move that energy through us. So let's circle back to this idea of embodiment. And how is our body then connected as something that, as we get more in touch with, can be a guide to living more purposefully. So my experience has been to listen to those signs, those sensations in the body, and ask more deeply, what are they trying to communicate? And maybe you've heard me say this before, but this idea of practicing, is it a full body yes? And if I'm not a full body yes to something, then it's a no. I'm not saying all the time, but this is the ideal that I choose to live from. So when proposed an idea or thought, an opportunity, it's like, okay, checking in. Is this a full body yes? Not just a logical mind yes, but how is my body reacting? So I've had some opportunities that have come my way in the past that look great on paper, right? Good pay, fulfilling work. Logically, it would make all the sense to say yes. But when I tune into my body and I start noticing, every time I'm thinking about this person or in this space, or thinking about this opportunity rather, or in this space, or, I feel this tension swelling up. That's interesting to notice. Okay. And so listening to the body, how it can be a guide, and sometimes it's like, well, maybe I'm just nervous because it's a big opportunity. But as I get more curious, and I invite you to get more curious and to notice, is there some kind of pattern to that? Are there certain people you're around that your body doesn't feel safe with? And you kind of notice you clench up or you tense or you feel uncomfortable. That's a sign that there's something to heal or to shift. Or perhaps in this moment, you are not a full body yes to being in relationship, in whatever form that may be, with that individual or organization or whatever it may be. And I want you to think about your own life too, right? Like, where have you perhaps had some kind of an opportunity, or maybe you're dating and you're trying to gauge, is this something to move forward with or not? Are there times where everything logically says, this makes sense, but there's something going on within your body's like, nah, a little bit of a red flag there. But logically, you can't pinpoint it. You just feel something off, right? And then other times, maybe something didn't make sense logically, but you're like, I don't know. I just feel energized. I feel called to it. My body feels lit up. I feel excited, even though my brain is saying, well, I don't know. Perhaps that is spirit within saying, yes, go. Take the leap. Try this path. And I don't know about you, but I can get so caught up on, but what's the right decision? And what I've learned is just try something. If you're feeling that full body yes, go for it. It doesn't mean that it's a yes forever. When things starts to shift, listen, check in. Perhaps it's time to let that go. It's something we are always in relationship with. So that embodied wisdom, in this practice of, is it a full body yes? It's helped guide me. It's helped me avoid certain situations that maybe looked good or I thought were right, but weren't aligned. And it's guided me towards paths and places and relationships that in my mind I would not have picked, but have been deeply fulfilling. I think I shared this with you all maybe years ago when I first chose to move here and to say yes, to be called to be one of your ministers, that some of my friends from Chicago was like, are you going to be okay? Kentucky? Right? Because they've never been to Kentucky, and they believed what the news says about we're all a very, red state, and they were concerned of my safety as a queer woman. And that didn't occur to me. I was like, I would not have put on my list like one day I want to move to Kentucky, but I was willing to follow my heart and to come and to see and to try, and I came a few times and I felt into it, and there was that full body yes. And then you start to discover why we call it the best kept secret. The beauty and the arts and the aliveness of this small little city. So Spirit nudges us through our passions, through our curiosities, through this deep desire and longing of our heart. And the more we can become mindful of this and to notice, maybe journal, write down, start to pay attention, start to take stock of the times where you trusted that intuition, your gut, that full body yes, you can start to notice that and begin to trust that even more. Prove to yourself that you can trust in God to lead the way, God within you. Hemphill reminds us that we can increase our ability to feel what we deeply long for in ourselves and in the world. So as one of the principles that was read in the reading states, we get to practice, we get to choose what we practice, because the more we practice something, and I don't want you to just think about like practicing a skill or a sport, like dribbling a basketball. I don't know why I don't dribble basketballs, but the more you practice, I soon get good at bouncing a ball. the practice, not just that, but what are we practicing in our minds, right? What are we practicing with our thoughts? What are we practicing as far as how we are engaging with people and showing up and caring for ourselves? So all of these things. I'm not just talking about a skill, right? So like, what are we doing over and over in our minds and in our actions? And then as we do that more often, we can start to do so more mindfully and notice what those deep desires of the heart are, what the deep longing is within us. And as we increase our ability to feel those things, to feel the longing of harmony and peace and equity, joy, freedom, creativity, whatever this may be for you, when we can feel and increase our ability to feel that in this now moment, that then becomes outpictured in our experience more often. Perhaps it's the simple, quiet whisper of spirit to be still, to listen, to rest, to breathe. Or maybe it's that fluttering of energy saying, speak up. This is yours to say, to share, to express. Or maybe it's the warm pull of the heart towards a new friendship or relationship or community. Or perhaps the creative swirl of energy to birth a new project or idea, or simply create art or an act of justice. The more we listen, the clearer that becomes. And the more we envision it, feel into it, and embody the feeling tone of what we desire for ourselves in the world, the more we live on purpose right here, right now. Because a purpose-driven life is really a present-driven life. That came to me yesterday. I was like, that's good. You know, when you're working on something and an idea comes through and you're like, oh, that's good. Like, I know, like, that wasn't me, Rainbow. Like, that's good, right? And then I'm like, okay, well, what does that really mean? So, besides the clever little play on words from the oh-so-popular book, The Purpose-Driven Life, a purpose-driven life is a present-driven life. Because it's often said if you're feeling depressed, and I'm not talking about clinically depressed, but like in a mood of sadness that has overtaken, that you're often living in the past. And if you're feeling anxious, again, I'm not talking about clinically anxious, but if you're feeling anxious, you're living in the future. And when you're feeling at peace, you're living in the presence of the present. In the presence of the present. And I would add to that, not only peace, but possibility live in the present. Because when we tune into the energy and mindfully, consciously choose that which we would like to experience and embody more fully in the future of this made-up thing called time that we think is linear, but it's actually circular. As we tune into the energy of what we would like to embody more fully, we can start to practice it in the only time we really have, which is the eternal now moment, the presence. And then we are energetically aligning with that vibration of wholeness, of joy, of love, of peace, of harmony, and we start to experience it now. And then our thought will come in, yes, but really, how are you going to pay your mortgage? Come back to the present. I'm not saying you don't have a plan to pay your bills, But notice the difference if it's a thought that comes that just feels like a that is a moment to choose not to engage with that thought, not right now, and to come back to peace. Because if we're trying to figure something out about the future and we're anxious about something in the future, and we try to figure it out from the place of, I'm getting some yes, you know how that is. It's not very fun, and it's not very easy. It's very stressful. And yet, I don't know about you, but for me, when I'm able to bring myself back to just the peace and the presence of this moment, and this week has been such beautiful, perfect weather to just sit outside in the mornings and in the evenings and listen to the birds, watch my cats, and feel into the peace and the possibility of right now. Think of spirit, our inner guidance, as that tuning fork, ding, that vibrates within us. That guide, that resonance, that vibration, holding the vibration of all that is possible and true of the one life, the vibration of love and joy and peace. And our body is like an instrument. And what happens when we use a tuning fork with an instrument, we want to become in sync. We tune our instruments physically. We can tune our body to come into alignment and resonate with that vibration of the truth of who we are. And when it resonates, we know, right? We can identify. We say, I just feel grounded. I feel aligned. And that's often when somebody says, I just feel like I'm really living on purpose. Not because I did something, but because I just feel in alignment with what is resonating within me. And when it starts to feel clunky, we know something's off. And we use that as a guide to turn within, to do our work, to get curious, or to turn to a practitioner who can know the truth and hold that for us when we are in doubt. So when we strip it all down, purpose isn't about ego or achievement or our image. It's about living from a heart of love and service in this now moment. It's about presence. And every yes to spirit moves us closer to that divine experience of wholeness and service to life itself. Sometimes it might look like sacred activism, taking an action in alignment with our values and desires for the world. Other times it might look like deeply listening to a friend. It may look like forgiveness to someone who has hurt us or for ourselves. Or it might look like planting a beautiful garden. Our purpose is always evolving in the present moment when we're listening. That is the purpose that surpasses all. It's not measured by accomplishments, it's measured by presence and connection and service and love. So Hemp Hill reminds us to transform and become who we intend to be. We have to practice being who we are becoming. If we want to be more loving, we have to practice being more loving. If we want the world to be more loving and unified, we have to practice being more loving and unified. So the invitation this week is to not look for something out there to chase or to discover something like a big revelation about your purpose, but it's to sit with these questions and to ask, what am I embodying? What am I practicing? And is it in alignment with who I am becoming and what I desire? And also, am I a full body yes? So I want to return to our affirmation and invite you to repeat after me once again. I live on purpose and in service to life. Yes. And taking a deep breath, Before we move into prayer, I want to highlight some things because I understand that many people may be feeling concerned, afraid, scared, angry, hurt with all that is occurring in the world, and particularly this week. So I want to read a little bit from our Centers for Spiritual Living spiritual director's words, also our founding minister, Reverend Dr. Sonny Cantrell-Smith, with the official statement that went out yesterday. It's called, and we're going to listen to this kind of in a prayerful state, and then I'll go right into prayer if you want. So it's called Sacred Oneness, a call to heal divisions. Science of mind teaches that all life is one. A divine unity binds us together, every person, every event, every moment. In this understanding, separation is illusion. Our thoughts, words, and deeds are powerful, and what happens to one is part of what happens to all. Each life is sacred. Each act of violence wounds the whole. Today, as we witness an alarming rise in gun violence in the United States, we see this oneness deeply violated. As of September 11th, 2025, there have been 301 mass shootings in the United States. In 2024, there were 503 mass shootings. It is difficult to understand this amount of violence. She goes into several more examples. I'm going to skip that for now, but I'll post the whole thing in our group. We are living in a moment where isolated incidents no longer feel isolated. The oneness of life means that when politicians are shot or public figures are shot or children die in mass schools or in school or in mass, all of us are touched. All of us suffer in some way. Such events shake our sense of community and our spiritual peace. From the teachings of Science of Mind, we are being called to move more than grief or outrage. We are being called to raise our thoughts, to hold an inner vision of peace, justice, and compassion. We are being invited to act from the realization that we are all in this together and that no one is free until we are all free. We are called to speak truth with kindness, to support measures that promote safety and dignity, and to heal the divisions that led to violence. We must continue the struggle for justice, equity, inclusion, and belonging if we truly envision a world that works for all. As Dr. Ernest Holmes said in a radio address on August 6, 1950, "But faith without works is dead. We should not only pray, we should act, each contributing the best they have to the common purpose, each willing to make any sacrifice necessary, not a sacrifice reluctantly made, but as one who offers all that they have to give for two great purposes. One, in a certain sense, a selfish one, for we all desire self-preservation, but the other, in the greater sense, that there can be no individual self-preservation without the preservation for all. So let us come together now across differences of parties, belief, religion, and pray for the United States, for all places in the world where political culture, religious strife is impacting lives. Pray for the children and the wounded students, the families torn apart. Pray for our politicians and leaders that they may find courage, wisdom, and compassion, and that they may put down weapons of division and instead work for the good of the United States. I pray we be moved by love. I pray we remember our oneness in every act, every word. I pray peace increases, violence is diminished, and we are rising now to the moment united, compassionate, and whole. So let's take that into prayer. Recognizing the one life right here, right now, this energy, this presence that is love, that is wholeness, that is peace. knowing that this one life is all that there is, this presence, this wholeness, this peace is my life. It is the very vibration in which I choose this day to tune into, to embody more fully. For truly, we are all one. One with life itself, one with wholeness, one with peace. And it is from this place of oneness that I speak this word now on behalf of all those who are hearing the sound of my voice, to know that love is here now. Healing is happening now, even in this. I invite us to crack open our hearts and to allow that deep sense of knowing of something greater to move us, to inspire us, to take this action as our heart leads us to take, to demonstrate, to live, to be more loving, to be kind, to know all beings are inherently worthy and whole. So I know right here, right now, that a healing is happening in this country, the United States of America, and across the world. Unity, liberty, and justice for all beings. Peace is possible. And in this present moment, this present filled life, I choose to claim this, to know this, and to live this as truth. I'm so grateful to know that right here, right now, all is truly well. Everything is unfolding perfectly for the highest good of our entire planet. And I remain committed to that vision. With great gratitude for the fulfillment of this prayer, I release this word into the action of the law that always says, yes, my beloved, it is true, it is done. Yes. And so it is.